Well, hello there and a very warm welcome to you wherever you're watching from around the world to this edition of the Clip My Horse TV in our studio. We're previewing day 4 of the FEI 2026 World Championships.
Behind every victory and before every cheer, there is a story waiting to be told. It's about all the chapters written away from the spotlight, where partnerships are forged in silence and teamwork drives one shared journey. And now, a new chapter begins.
Presented by Huvela.
Well, there's plenty to come on day 4 from this championships, and to look at it all with me, joining me here in the studio is Damon Byrne from Equestrian. D, lots of eventing to talk about, which I know you're keen to dig into, but other disciplines also taking the stage today there in Aachen. Let's take a look at the schedule for day 4 then. How will things play out in those arenas around the place? Well, we've got the Dressage World Championships kicking off early in the morning, a slight change to the schedule there just ahead of the heat for those equine athletes. 8:30 a.m. of course for the individual Grand Prix Special. 8:30 a.m. for the vaulting championship, the technical test. That is the phase they're up to in the vaulting in Arena 3. And at 9:30 we see the second day of the eventing in the eventing dressage, of course, D. So plenty to come, as we say, but we want to turn our attention first to dressage. We want to dig in there because we've already had 2 days of competition. We have already crowned the world champions in the team. The Germans are taking that out on home soil, and we want to talk a little bit about this Grand Prix Special. Exciting stuff. I know you like to keep a little eye on the dressage. Little eye.
I do. I find it actually quite exciting. And I think there's two, I think when you get to the special, there's 2 pieces that become quite interesting in that. And we're going to talk about them in terms of you get the top end of it, but equally you get the who actually gets through to compete in who makes it to the freestyle.
Yeah, cutthroat.
I like that there's different entry points for different levels of fans. It's actually I actually find this part and the last part in terms of the freestyle and the music, I'm quite into it.
Oh, and I'll be an absolute mess when the music comes in. Don't you worry about that. But first of all, Rosie Russell has put this explainer together for us to talk you through just how this phase of the dressage competition works.
The championship now enters its next phase. Level 1 complete, we're now at Level 2, the Grand Prix Special. Only the top 30 combinations from the Grand Prix qualified to compete here, which means every rider you see has already earned their place among the championship contenders. This test is longer, more technical, and more demanding than the Grand Prix. Judges continue to score every movement on a scale of 0 to 10. But the pressure is higher and the margins become even smaller. The goal is simple: produce the highest possible score to try to secure a place on the podium and a place in the individual final. The Grand Prix Special is the first chance riders get to stand on a podium as an individual winner, as this competition is a standalone individual medal winning round. A good score is not only important for medals, but also for the individual final. Only the best 18 combinations will progress to the freestyle, so every movement matters. A small mistake can mean the difference between qualifying and going home, because by the end of this competition, the field for the freestyle will be set.
So certainly not all to play for, but plenty to play for here, D, in this Grand Prix Special before all of the final stages of this competition come to fruition on the final day of dressage. Of course, we've been catching up with the riders over the course of the week. Of course, that initial Grand Prix, plenty out there performing at their utmost best. As I said, the Germans taking home that championship prize on the top of the podium. But let's hear from some of the riders after the first phase about how they feel about the next one.
If I get to go to the special, that will be very special, you can say. I really like this test because there is a lot of transition, and he's enjoying this test. I think the horse is technically really strong, and strong also from hind legs. So yeah, I like to ride this test more than the Grand Prix, to be honest.
Well, he's just going to be excited to get back in. I know what he's like. He's going to be heading up here every time I put him on a long rein because he loves to go in those arenas. And yeah, I was just so happy that I kind of found the button for the PF because it's been really strong at home, and I just found it on that last centre line. So I'm excited to bring that back into the special because, to be honest, not much else can be better. He was, yeah, just amazing.
I think I had 3 good holes today, and that's something I've been working very hard on to sort of get my business card right. Then I think my trot half passes was really nice and fluent, and she was really good for my tempi. She was mega for the first piaffe especially. It's really wonderful to ride into that big main stadium, and you clearly felt the atmosphere. So, you know, I could feel that freestyle was a little bit affected here and there, so I'm happy that we have hopefully a few more days to like really work our way in there, but what a setting.
You said today you rode a little bit controlled because you wanted to manage for the team. So now it's all throttles off, you go, go, go.
That's for sure what we will do, yeah.
And how many more medals do you think you get this week?
I don't know. We will see if we can catch one more.
Could Queen Isabel be any more humble? She's like, yep, that's right. Don't know how many medals I'm going to win. Could be all of them, could be none. One so far, so good things to come for the Queen of Aachen, as we like to call her. In the dressage, we've been chatting about this throughout the course of the week, Dee, back and forth, just quietly behind the scenes, talking about these ones to watch. We heard from a couple of them there. I think arguably, well, without a doubt, Catherine Ladrup-Dufour comes in with Mount St John freestyle as definitely one to watch. I love how you have a little shy grin about this. You're like, I'm a sneaky dressage fan, everybody.
I have been reading up. I have been listening to different things, and you've picked the right one.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I think watching those interviews, when you see Isabel and you see the calmness and like that aura that comes from there, and then you put it into context of Justin Verboemen and Zonic Plus. You'll remember we were together, I think, for the European Championships last year. You had Aachen, of course, where you had, I think it was Zonic Plus and Justin Verboemen who edged out Wendy in two of the 3 tests that they went up to each other on, but equally, there was only 1% between them.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think when you look at it in that context now, you've got Catherine, we have it on screen now, you've Catherine and freestyle, you've got Isabella and Wendy, you've got Justin Verboemen and Zonic Plus. Can I bring you to Glamourdale for a moment in terms of the special? So we see that big PB of 82.50. There's one piece that I think she mentioned in her interview, which is when you find the button for the PF. And over the course of my reading, I've learned that there was quite a lot of focus, that there's a little bit more focus possibly for Lottie and Glamourdale, or a little bit more expectation as to what they can do in those big, powerful movements when it comes to the freestyle, and that what we're going to see in the special is very PF and Passage dominated, and that it could come against her, that it might go in favour of the others, but that to hold the comfort, hold the faith, because once you saw the freestyle, that it would really play back to Lottie. Really interesting when she mentions, I found that PF button. I think that's what we'll be watching for there tomorrow, to see if they're going up against horses with PF, with Passage power, whether Lottie and Glamourdale can, as she says, find that button, whether it's there. She just mentions it in her interview. I think that could be the difference in terms of, she's obviously there in terms of the PBs. You don't get as much variance. It's not like jumping or eventing that one rail could change it all. They tend to score reasonably close to their averages and touch off those PBs. She's right in there on the PBs. Personally, I can't wait to see Zonic Plus try to take a world medal. I think that's the bit that I'm really excited about.
Really exciting story in the sport of dressage. And Lottie, you found the button. Let's push it. Let's push it, babe. Let's talk about a score to watch, because obviously we watched those the initial days of dressage, and this is really important, because when we talk about how this plays out throughout the course of the competition, this is roughly the score that you're looking at to make it through to the freestyle, because remembering that the top 18 in the special, which is tomorrow, then make it through to the last day.
There's loads of asterisks and loads of ways I could take you down the rules on this, so don't treat it as anything more than a bit of a guide. But I do think that it's nice not just to be looking at the medals, but also trying to, all of the top athletes will want to be there for the freestyle. They'll be ready, they'll be prepared, that's the fun of it. But to get into the top 18, and by the way, only 3 per nation. So even if 4 of the Germans are in there, it'll still only be 3 as far as I know, in terms of as a maximum per nation. Top 18 go generally, I would say that's 72, 74. In that zone is where you'd be looking at as a bit of a cutoff.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is what to keep a little bit of an eye on, just to keep in your mind. Of course, as we mentioned, the schedule slightly changed just because of the weather for the dressage horses. They will be starting at various times, but these are some of the key start times for some of those combinations you won't want to miss. There you can see in that morning session some pretty big names, heavy hitters, an absolute crowd favourite in Becky Moody and Jägerbomb going just before lunchtime as well. And after lunch, we can look at Rafa Netz, their exceptional performance so far in the teams, and Frederick as well for the Germans. Catherine, the Lady Catherine, and Mount St John Freestyle coming up just before 4 o'clock. And then a little later in the day, we look to see that man that we mentioned, Justin Verboemen and Zonic Plus. The Queen of Aachen follow him shortly after there. Isabel Wirth and Wendy de Fontaine coming in just after 4:15. And just before 4:30, Charlotte Fry and Glamourdale. What an afternoon of dressage. I said stapled to the sofa. Literally stapled to the sofa is where you need to be if you are a dressage fan. So they're the key times and things to look out for on day 4 of this World Championships, and plenty to look out for, Dee, then in the sport of eventing, which is where we want to change and turn our attention to as well.
I can't wait for this bit.
That was a very pregnant pause there, Dee.
Where I was going to start is it's quite a difficult one to know, because very rarely do you come off the back of a big first day where you've got a horse that is the European champion in JL Dublin leading the Worlds as expected, and there's a piece of me which wants to jump out of the screen in terms of this previewing day 4 to say all the big ones are coming. I think we've a new top 5 coming. Maybe one of them doesn't perform all the way to the very top, which you think, could Tom McCune on a 26.6 stay in the top 5? I think it'll be a little bit difficult. Monica Spencer, an artist, you can see that 6-run average. That 6 RA that you see there, that stands for 6-run average. So that takes into account their last 6 dressage scores, Amy, at any level. And that... There's a couple of things that we heard Nicole talking about, that we've heard reports from the ground and the rider interviews that we're hearing where they're talking about the new dressage test. So admittedly, there's lots of variables on these, but I've seen artists and Monica Spencer go lower. Let's not forget that the Kiwis are joint leaders at the moment alongside Team GB. Huge heavy hitters in here. We're just coming off the back of looking at the big hitters of dressage. You're about to see London 52 in eventing dressage and Fisher Chipmunk in eventing dressage, who I think will really light up Aachen tomorrow. That's a very special head-to-head. But for me, I think probably the biggest takeaway, I would say, for people really wondering, how do I get into day 4? What am I expecting? The biggest takeaway is absolutely that we have a potential total change of the top 5.
Yeah, exactly right. So let's then have a look then at what you've prepared for us with the expected leaders, because this is interesting. We're still to come then on day 2 with the biggest names, arguably.
Yeah, and I mentioned that Tom McCune, as part of our review show, I mentioned that Tom McCune may be a little bit disappointed as a leader with the score of 26.6. But that expected total of 73.1 The record finishing team the record score for a team after the World Games came from Great Britain, and it came from Bretoni, and it was 71.1. They're very, very close to setting a record, and they're able to do that because they have Laura Collett London 52, who I've got here at 22, but absolutely could be, as they were in Paris, 17, as they were in Bretoni, 19. They can absolutely be lower. But that's a nice, interesting battle in terms of what to look forward for the teams. I think you've got two really strong British riders, two really strong Kiwis. They're currently head-to-head. I expect the Brits to be leading by tomorrow evening, but the Kiwis will be absolutely delighted with where they are right now.
Yeah, that is with little doubt there. We talked a little bit about this too in our recap from day one, and there's this incredible narrative that comes out of this World Championships. It has to do with two of the biggest names in the sport, not just the riders, but arguably this story focuses on the equine athletes, the horses themselves.
There will be an hour tomorrow afternoon in Aachen where we see... well, actually, it'll be, I think Laura Collett will be just after afternoon, so sometime around 12:30, and then Fisher Chipmunk Michael Young will be in the evening. But tomorrow is the last time that you're going to see it at a championship. And that's not official, of course, but look at the ages down the bottom of the screen. It's hard to imagine that they'll both be back at 20 and age 20, age 19 for LA in 28. I think this is the last time we see it at a global championships. When they went to Bretoni, they were within 0.5 of a mark. Michael just took the lead with this perfect final halt. When they went to Paris, Laura set an Olympic dressage record of 17.5. He came in and did, I think it was 17.8. Over the last two major championships, there has been absolutely nothing between them. When you go outside of the championships to the 5 stars, to the Europeans, to badminton, to Kentucky, there has been nothing between them. And I think the last time that we'll see Laura Collett in London 52 take on Fisher Chipmunk and Michael Young, I think it's a really special thing to be part of, to witness. I don't know who leads, and I want to talk to you about that in a moment. I don't know who leads. I'm going to talk to you about it right now. I don't know who leads, but I do think it's important. You can see on screen, I wanted to really focus on who'll be the hometown hero. The noise when Michael Young and Fisher Chipmunk come in here is going to be incredible. I don't think that they've always been as loved, Amy, as maybe some of his others, but I don't know that it's fair. Or, this horse has won more than anyone else. They have led at multiple championships, but they've only won one, and that's the one they didn't lead at. They've led 6 championships, and the only one they didn't lead, which was Paris, was the one they went on to win. Interestingly, Michael has a similar stat in terms of his own performances at Olympics. The only one that he led, he didn't win. All of the rest that he won, he wasn't in the lead. I wonder where he sits tomorrow evening. That range of 17.8 to 21.1, that's Fisher Chipmunk's dressage starts at championship level. And that takes into account Blenheim at Europeans, it takes into account all the way back to the last World Games at Tryon. But the last thing I want to say to you on that is, Julia Korewski led with Fisher Chipmunk in Tryon. Michael led with Fisher Chipmunk in Bretoni. What a special thing it would be over an 8-year time span for the same horse to lead another World Games, to lead 3 World Games. They might do it. It'll be very, very close with London 52, but don't miss it. That's the history moment. That's the Fisher Chipmunk history-making moment that I think we should all be looking at tomorrow afternoon.
Absolutely. Don't miss it, because it is your chance to witness history, whatever way the cards fall there. We have been catching up with the riders over the course of the last couple of days. Over the course of the last day, I should say. The first chunk of those riders going on day 1, obviously to perform their dressage, those second lot coming on day 2. And we caught up with some of those riders. Let's take a listen.
Trot work was amazing. A little bit of work to do in the canter, but we've come a long way, and our first international event on the world stage. Awesome start, and couldn't be more pleased with the horse.
I'm a bit disappointed. I made a couple mistakes out there, so it's a sport and it is what it is. That's a great thing about eventing. It's not just day 1, we've got 2 other phases, so that's the great thing.
I think I did quite a good test. I have a nice dressage horse, she's so sweet, and I was quite happy with my test. She got a little bit scared coming in from the camera in the back, And then the second time I had to do the halt there, she was also a little bit, ooh. That made I think that could have been a bit better, but for the rest I was actually really happy with the test.
Oh, I'm very pleased. It was really good. He was with me the whole way, and he kept his nerves under wraps today. Just a few small bits and pieces could also always be better, but in the whole I'm very happy with that.
He's not the fanciest, he's not the biggest mover, but he is an absolute trier, this horse, and I just adore him, really. So to come here and put his best foot forward, it really is the culmination, you know, of a couple of years of pretty solid working on this phase, but he's certainly exceeded our expectation today.
Yeah, lovely to hear from those riders there after day one. They got a little bit of respite before they have to head off across the country on Saturday, day two to come in the dressage. Someone who has been watching, or two ladies who have been watching the dressage with forensic intensity today from the perspective of the commentary box for most of it. Nicole Brown and Tina Cook filed this report.
One lady who is absolutely no stranger to riding under the pressure of a team environment is a former European champion. My partner in crime in commentary this week, Tina Cook. It is lovely to have you with us. We can see how much it means to the riders to be here. How different is the team dynamic when you add that into it? Eventing's normally an individual sport.
Actually, when it comes down to it, it's your personal best. You know, you've got to go out and nail it and do what you can do. But when the team, it's where you've got three other members, and it's the team riders feeling that there's the support there, that they can up their game until their personal best. If you're draw number one, you don't know necessarily how other people are going. You've got to draw somebody that is confident in their own skin, that they can go out there and absolutely go for it, which then support from the team members that are coming up behind them. The last one to go has got all day to change their mind about 10,000 times. But at the end of it, if they're told they've got to go long because the team hasn't worked out it is, the team medal is what counts. And if you can really perform that, then your individual medal slots in, hopefully.
Well, watch this space. They're all fighting it out for a medal. You can feel the anticipation that is sort of creeping up. It's unbelievably hot here. The crowds are very enthusiastic. They've been cheering as horses have been going into the dressage. There's been a few riders coming and going, shh, shh. But how much of an impact does that have as well?
Depending on your horse, whether it enjoys getting in the arena and showing off, or whether it's a horse that gets a little bit anxious, and you can see by the riders. But the one thing about riding here at Aachen, a large majority of the horses wouldn't have experienced. You've got that permanent arena. The crowds are, as you said, so supportive. It is incredibly special to be having the privilege to be riding here. But to go into that main arena and actually nail a good test, there's nothing better.
And there's still plenty of big names to come. We've actually been watching a few of the horses on day two over the last few days in the warm-up area. Has anybody caught your eye in particular?
I mean, there's the obvious ones. Fisher Chipmunk looks fantastic at his age of 18. You know, to be getting that horse to yet another championship and looking so good. But London 52, Laura's had a brilliant preparation. She will be there. And Ros Cantor, you can never shy away from her. She's so cool and calm and collected. And I think it's going to be an exciting competition all round, because you just cannot predict who's going to be in front. It's going to be a clear round and they will all be going for it.
And I have to say, one of the things that I love about here at Aachen is that actually all of the fans can go and watch the horses in the warm-up, and there's people taking selfies from the trot up and selfies of the riders when they see them around and about the event site. And that is what we love. The horses are the stars here, and we cannot wait to keep the spotlight on them over the next few days.
And if it were me, I'd be having a selfie with Nicole Brown and Tina Cook. That's what I'd be doing. Lovely stuff. Really great to hear from those guys there, and very, very insightful. As you say, getting eyes on those horses on the ground before they compete here on this stage is something really, really special to see. Now, let's talk a little bit about the schedule, because we want to bring you up to date with everything that's happened. I've mentioned this a few times, but I'll just don't want people to miss it. There has been an official statement go out today to say that the dressage, the pure dressage, a slight change in the schedule for that just because of the weather. So that Grand Prix Special changes times. That starts at 8:30 in the morning on day 4. The vaulting, the technical test, of course, for them, that is the second day of competition in the vaulting. That starts at 8:30 a.m. in Arena 3. And for that second day of dressage in the eventing, 9:30 a.m. is the start time for those athletes as they come forward. Plenty to come. Of course, we want to talk about some start times for those eventers as they come. I mean, we said about the heavy hitters coming, but let's have a look at some of the key names as they come forward there, Dee. We talked a little bit about Monica Spencer, an artist. That's reasonably early in the morning there at 19 minutes past 10 to be precise. Boyd Martin, who we're looking forward to seeing at 10:50 a.m. and Julia Krajewski. Again, our sort of dark horse. I hate saying that because it feels like such a pun. But yeah, Julia Krajewski there as well. Laura Collett, Tamara Smith and Tim Price there in the afternoon session up until just after 3 o'clock. And then we see those names there at the bottom of the afternoon. Will Coleman, Michael Jung and Ros Cantor, of course. So a day of dressage you won't want to miss, of course, on FEI TV and Clip My Horse TV. And don't forget, we will of course be live here on the 24/7 channel at 7 p.m. European time. I'll be with Dee if he has survived the day. I don't know, I can't guarantee it.
That's a big day.
It's a big day.
That is a big day.
It's going to be a big day for Dee. Let's see how lucky we get and if we've got him here. But we'll be here in the in-out studio to bring you a recap and a review of all that has taken place on day 2 of that dressage, and indeed of all of the other sport that's taken place there at those 2026 World Championships in Aachen. It's been an absolute pleasure to be with you, Dee. Lovely to talk about all of this. Really excited about day 2 in the eventing and the rest of the sport that comes tomorrow as well. We'll see you tomorrow, hopefully.
I'll be here.
He'll be here. You've heard it here first. We guarantee it, guys. He will be here. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow, of course. Until then, take care.
The best horse feed for the best athletes. German horse feed since 1905.
He's up and over, he's got goals! 13.
Against the clock, it really didn't matter. Mickey, defended Kentucky.
No scriptwriter could have ever written a better story.